I remember the morning. I was living in the Rose Cafe building on Fifth Avenue and 9th Street, right outside of Washington Square Park. And I was sleeping, and the TV was on, low volume, and the TV was on. And I was living with my girlfriend at the time. She was gone early to work, and I was laying there. For some reason, the TV was on. So I woke up. I came to life, and I looked into the television, and one tower was smoking, and they had a plane, hitting the first tower. So that's where I first I first saw what I thought was going on. I'm like, oh man, some idiot in a Cessna just hit the friggin' tower. Oh my God, I got a cup of coffee. I sat there, and I saw the second plane hit on television because it was broadcast. And that's when I actually I said, snapped away, because I went, holy shit. In my head, I went, this is not an accident. And I got up, and I quickly got dressed, and I ran to get my girlfriend at the time, because I was like, something new. I knew this wasn't an accident. So I ran to get her. She was at the gym, and she was there on 13th Street, and she was crying because I guess it was on there as well. And I grabbed her, and she goes, what's happening? I said, just follow me. I get her back. We went back up to the apartment. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I'm on the 14th floor, and I don't want to be above. I don't want to be this high off the ground because I don't know what's coming. So I grabbed her. I grabbed whatever I thought I might need, and we ran. We came downstairs. We ran, and I had gotten walkie-talkies from Disney. I did this thing for Disney, and they sent over the swag bag they send you. Well, then there was a set of walkie-talkies. I went, I can use those. I don't know what for, Shelley. I had walkie-talkies, I had power bars, I had a kitchen knife, a baseball bat, and my girlfriend. That's what I had. I just grabbed that stuff and just ran. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I'm like, we're going to need this. So I'm out on the street, and her office was in Midtown. I said, you're not going to Midtown. We're not going to the office. We're not going above the ground. And I don't know how it happened, but I ended up in Jeff Ross's apartment downtown with Dave Chappelle, his daughter, his girlfriend at the time, because I remember Dave's daughter banging on a bongo drum. And we were because I think Dave was at Soho Grand, and he had to get out because they had to evacuate. And we were all in there not knowing what to do, but just huddled together. And then as the day slowly unwound, you start calling your friend. You start calling, you call your family and everything. I called my mother, and my mother was just like, get out of the city. They're attacking high-rise buildings. Get out of there. I'm sending your father in with the boat, because we had a boat. He was going to come into New York Harbor and pick us up. I'm sending your father in with the boat. Get down to the harbor. She's screaming. So, because, it's Long Island. So the city is like this dangerous place, for her entire life. So you check on everybody. And then for some reason, I remember I was below 14th Street. So we got locked down, if you remember. Right. Where were you when it happened?
I was in New Jersey when it happened.
You're in Jersey. Okay. So yeah, below 14th Street, if you remember where I was living in the Village, they locked it all down. So it was like that movie where the comet goes by and humanity's dead. There's like one or two guys up, and the dinosaurs start showing up again. That's what it was like. You just smelled that acrid smell. You heard distant sirens. And I got a bunch of buddies in the NYPD. So I called my friend Tommy, who was on active duty. So I called my friend Tommy, the cop. What's going on? Do you guys need help? And St. Vincent's Hospital was still open on 7th. And that was a rally point for some reason. So I remember I headed out that way to see what was going on. I don't know what I was going to do, Shelley, but I had to do something. I headed out that way, and I ran into Tommy there. And, what do? You bring him food, you buy pizza. No one really knew what to do. And then I remember being on the radio with Opie and Anthony on NEW. Because I called Ant to see if he was all right. And I ended up being on the air, again, not knowing what to do or what to say, but just trying to do something because you felt helpless. And then as the days go by, I remember Lenny Clark, we were shooting. I was shooting something. I think it was The Job. It was a show on ABC called, it was a cop show we were shooting. So my buddy Lenny Clark was in town. He was staying uptown, and he called me. So I remember being on bicycles. This is what we're riding on Broadway. Me and Lenny are riding on bicycles. There's nobody in the streets. It's Broadway. Nobody's in the streets. And we see the fire trucks going down, and we just started screaming and yelling and go get them, boys. And we're following the fire trucks down. But for those days, there was nothing going on, and everything was locked down. So I just remember that feeling of you wanted to go somewhere, but you were helpless. There was a helpless feeling of confusion and big anger because you wanted to hit back, but you didn't know what to hit, and you didn't have, there was no time to process anything because you were confused. And I remember talking to a bunch of comics, and what do we do? What do we do? And as things were coming back, I was a mess for a while, and I couldn't find my way into an understanding because all I had was rage. And I process rage and anger. First of all, it's easy for me, but it's blinding when it's in there. It's just blinding. The body gets compressed. I can't. Nothing works. The machine just clenches up. So. And I was trying to talk about it and express whatever I was feeling. And I realized my only way into this, to understanding, was not rage. It wasn't anger. It wasn't vengeance. It was confusion. I had to give voice to the confusion. And I process through my work, Shelley. I can't fix my life, but I can fix a joke. So if I can get something out on paper, I go, well, it doesn't work because of this. It doesn't work because it's not funny. It doesn't work because it's too many words, whatever it is. I can examine something when it's outside of my machine. So I remember the key that got me into it, that got me into at least processing it, was the joke I wrote was, terrorists convinced thousands of people to kill themselves in the name of God. I can't convince 2 of my friends to help me move. And I'm giving away pizza and beer. The price for this homicidal act is you go to heaven, you get 72 virgins. Virgins? That's great. Now I got to train 72 women? Give me one lady that knows what she's doing. So as soon as I got into that idea, the words started coming out and I started processing. So so I was very frightened, that I was very angry, but then I learned to get into it through voicing the confusion. And it was okay to voice that confusion and to not know. And to be comfortable in uncertainty. That's what I learned from that.
Did you actually use some of these jokes in stand-up after?
Yeah, I boiled them off, and they're in a special somewhere at the time. I did, but yeah, and then you just, after that, it's just I would I would call Tommy every day. I would just leave a message because I knew he was busy, and I would go down to a local firehouse. This is before Rescue Me, but I lived around the corner from the firehouse, so I would go down to the firehouse and bring the guys food and stuff, and we ended up doing, I don't know if you remember downtown, we ended up doing a bunch of dinners to save downtown. A bunch of people. I met De Niro. That was pretty cool. So we did a bunch of those dinners. We went to firehouses. Steve Buscemi, actually, I remember being at his fire. I think he was a fireman in Chinatown. So we went and had dinner with the fire guys there, and I think Steve was there. And it was a time where we were all coming together. It was a lot of fucking anger. I remember a lot of anger, but underneath it, there was we want to do something, we don't know what it is. So there was a unity in the mass confusion of it all. I had an awareness of that.
And what a difference between now, the climate in the country and the way we all came together then. That was the last time I remember us all coming together as one. You didn't see any racial animosity, nothing. It was we were one.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a there was a definite line between good and evil, and it wasn't spun to service an agenda.
Is there anything else you want to
add? I've moved since out of that building.
How fast did you move out of the building?
I was there for a year after that, and I was looking for I was in the process of looking for an apartment after that. So, but yeah, and I met during that time, I met people in my neighborhood that I didn't know. New York is like, my mother was always worried, what are the neighbors going to think? I don't even know who the fuck the neighbors are. I know what they name their Wi-Fi. That's what I know, Shelley. So I remember meeting people in my neighborhood, and I remember I had my doorman at the time at my apartment. He was Egyptian, and he was crying. And and he hugged me when I came down, and he said, "I'm so sorry. This is here now."
Okay. Thank you, Adam.